It was past midnight when I boarded the last bus of the route. The city felt abandoned, like everyone had already escaped somewhere safer. I sat near the middle, tired and quiet. That's when I noticed him, one passenger sitting at the very back, completely still, and somehow his presence made the bus feel heavier than it should have been. As the bus started moving, it made a low, tired sound. I checked my phone. No signal. Normal for this route, I thought. Still, something felt off. The bus stopped at empty stops, but the man at the back didn't move at all. No shifting, no sound. Just sitting there, like he wasn't waiting to get anywhere. By the third stop, curiosity won. I asked the driver if the man at the back was getting off anywhere. He didn't answer immediately. His hands tightened on the steering wheel. Then he quietly said the man had been sitting there since before I got on. I looked at the mirror, and the back of the bus seemed darker than before.
The bus lights flickered once. In that brief darkness, my chest tightened, like something had moved without sound. When the lights came back, the passenger was in the same seat. Nothing had changed. Yet my heart was racing, and the space between us felt smaller than before.
The driver finally spoke again and told me not to talk to the man at the back, no matter what happened. I laughed nervously and asked why. Without looking at me, he said passengers who talk to him never get off the bus. As the bus moved forward, I noticed the road ahead looked longer than it ever had before. As the bus moved on, I realized the city outside was changing. Buildings looked farther apart, like someone had stretched the road while no one was looking. Streetlights passed more slowly than they should have. It felt less like we were traveling through the city and more like the city was quietly disappearing behind us. As the bus started moving, it made a low, tired sound. I checked my phone. No signal. Normal for this route, I thought. Still, something felt off. The bus stopped at empty stops, but the man at the back didn't move at all. No shifting, no sound. Just sitting there, like he wasn't waiting to get anywhere. That's when I heard it. A whisper, so soft I wasn't sure it was real at first. It wasn't loud, and it wasn't clear, but it sounded like my name. I didn't turn around. I told myself it was the engine, the rain, anything but a voice that shouldn't have known who I was. I asked the driver if he heard that whisper. His jaw tightened, and he shook his head without looking at me. He said the bus sometimes remembers people, even when it shouldn't. The way he said it made my stomach drop, like this wasn't the first time he had witnessed something like this. The whisper came again, clearer this time, asking me if I was tired. My body felt heavy, like the bus was draining me with every passing second. I knew I wasn't supposed to respond, but the question felt personal, almost caring. And that was what scared me the most, because whatever was sitting behind me was starting to sound like it understood me. We passed a bus stop without slowing down, then another. I leaned forward, expecting the driver to stop, but he didn't. It felt like the bus had forgotten the concept of stopping altogether, like it only knew how to move forward, no matter what waited ahead. The longer we drove, the heavier my thoughts became. Memories I hadn't thought about in years started to surface. Missed chances, unfinished conversations, nights I chose silence over honesty. It felt like the bus was pulling these memories out of me, one by one, as if feeding on the weight I tried to forget. The driver finally spoke again, his voice breaking. He said the last passenger shows up when someone carries too much regret. Not to scare them, but to stay with them. He said most people accept that company without realizing the price they're paying. The whisper returned, no longer soft, no longer uncertain. It told me I didn't have to feel tired anymore, that I could rest. The words felt warm and dangerous at the same time, like an invitation that only made sense if I stopped thinking about what it would cost. I realized then that the passenger wasn't forcing anything. He was waiting for me to respond, to agree, to let go. The bus kept moving, and with every second of silence, it felt like my choice was already being made for me. The bus no longer felt like a vehicle. It felt alive. The walls seemed closer, the ceiling lower, like it was breathing with us inside. Every vibration under my feet felt deliberate, as if the bus itself was listening to my thoughts.
Kamal Chacha spoke again, his voice full of exhaustion. He said he once heard the same offer I was hearing now. He didn't accept it, but he never forgot it either. And that memory, he said, followed him on every night route since.
The passenger finally explained what he offered. Not death, not escape, just rest. A place where regrets stop hurting and memories lose their weight. Listening to him felt like standing on the edge of sleep, where giving up control almost feels like relief. I checked my phone again. The time hadn't changed. Minutes, maybe hours had passed, but the clock refused to move. That's when I understood. We weren't traveling through the city anymore. We were suspended somewhere between staying and leaving. As I looked at the windows, I noticed reflections that didn't belong to us, faint shapes sitting in empty seats, quiet and patient. I realized then the last passenger was never truly alone, and if I made the wrong choice, I wouldn't be either. I couldn't ignore them anymore. The shadows and the empty seats weren't mine. They moved subtly, stretching and shrinking like they were alive. Every time I blinked, one seemed to inch closer to me. And through it all, the last passenger sat still, silent, as if he controlled the bus and everyone in it. Then I heard it. Not a voice, not words exactly. The bus itself seemed to hum around me, vibrating with intention. Each creak of the engine, each rattle of the wheels felt like it was communicating, a low, persistent rhythm that pulled at my chest, whispering I couldn't escape. I asked Kamal Chacha if anyone had ever left the bus after encountering the last passenger. His eyes went wide, voice barely audible. He said rumors spoke of people who never got off, their faces later seen only in reflections, watching silently. The thought made my skin crawl, but it also made me realize how small my chances were. I thought about my own life, all the words I hadn't said, chances I hadn't taken, people I had hurt without apology. The bus seemed to sense it. Every memory hit harder, every regret heavier. It was as if the passenger was cataloging my failures and offering them a price. Kamal Chacha finally warned me again, more urgently this time. He's patient, he said, but he notices hesitation. One moment too long, and he decides for you. I swallowed hard, feeling the weight of his words settle in my chest. The bus continued forward, the darkness stretching infinitely ahead, and I realized I had already taken the first step into something I might never leave. The bus suddenly took a sharp turn, one that wasn't on any map I knew. The world outside blurred into darkness. My stomach dropped, and I realized I had no control here. The last passenger remained in his seat, perfectly still, yet I felt his attention drilling into me, sharper than the wind lashing the windows. Then the whisper came again, this time closer, urgent. It wasn't asking anymore, it was inviting. Rest, it said. My chest ached. I wanted to look away, to ignore it, but every instinct screamed that I shouldn't. And yet, part of me wanted to surrender. Suddenly, one of the shadows moved, just slightly, just enough to confirm it was alive. My heart leapt, and I realized I wasn't imagining this. They were aware. And the last passenger? He didn't need to move to dominate the space. His presence made the bus feel smaller, suffocating. The driver's voice cracked as he spoke. Don't look away. Don't hesitate. If you falter, he decides for you. I swallowed hard, understanding the weight of those words. Every second now was measured, every breath heavy. The bus wasn't just moving forward, it was deciding my fate. The whisper returned, persistent, no longer gentle. It offered comfort and release, but with a weight I couldn't ignore. I understood then that the choice wasn't just mine. It was already in motion,
And whatever happened next, it would change everything. The air inside the bus grew heavy, as if every breath had weight. I felt watched, not just by the passenger, but by the shadows creeping along the seats. Each inhale was a struggle, each exhale a warning. The last passenger remained perfectly still, yet his presence pressed on me, waiting for a response I wasn't ready to give.
Then I heard it again, my name, but clearer this time. Not a whisper, a voice threading through the bus, brushing against my thoughts. It felt personal, intimate, terrifying. I tried to look away, but my gaze was drawn back, compelled, as if the shadows themselves were guiding me to him. I caught my reflection in the rearview mirror, and then I saw them, faces in the reflection that weren't mine, silent, watching. And the last passenger's reflection, darker, somehow moving independently. It struck me then that he was more than a passenger. He was the bus, the shadows, and every regret I had ever carried.
And then it clicked. The last passenger didn't ride the bus to go somewhere. He was waiting for me, or anyone like me, to arrive. He didn't need to move. He only needed me to notice him. Every whisper, every shadow, every stretch of the road, it was all part of him pulling me closer, closer to a choice I wasn't sure I could make. I realized the decision was already happening inside me. The bus wasn't just moving forward, it was drawing me into a moment I couldn't escape. The last passenger waited, patient and dark, and I knew that whatever choice I made, or failed to make, would define me forever.
The bus seemed to pause in time. Every shadow in every seat shifted as if breathing. The last passenger leaned just a little forward, and I felt all my regrets, fears, and missed chances press against me at once. I had no choice left but to confront him, or let him decide for me. I fought inside myself, every memory, every word I'd left unsaid. The whispers grew louder, circling me, offering release, comfort, oblivion. Part of me wanted it, wanted the calm, the rest, the escape. But another part, my part that still hoped, refused to surrender. The bus waited, and the shadows waited with it. And then I saw it. The last passenger wasn't just an entity. He was every regret, every fear, every unfinished choice I had carried inside me. All along, he had been waiting, not just for me, but for the moment I could confront my own life. The bus was never real, not fully. It was a place for reckoning. I had a choice: surrender to the calm, to the weightless comfort the passenger offered, or fight my own fear and stand. I took a deep breath, eyes locked on him, and whispered a refusal. Not loud, but firm. The shadows quivered, the bus shuddered, and for the first time, I felt a sliver of control. The bus rolled forward and the city returned, ordinary and real. The last passenger was gone, leaving only a faint shadow, a reminder of what could have been. I stepped off the bus, feeling the weight of my regrets lighter, yet still there, a warning and a lesson. And as the doors closed behind me, I knew some passengers never leave entirely. They linger, in whispers, in shadows, in the quiet corners of your mind.